Hello my friends, welcome back to another session for my financial predictions. We'll cover NVIDIA and the Swiss pair of the Forex. So today is the 17th of April, and just like I told you, we had days which were going to be very hard to define, to be quite honest with you, because I told you in my last videos that from the 16th to the 18th of April we were going to see some days which could be volatile, but others will be completely in range. And for example, that was the case for the 16th of April. It was a very volatile day, downtrend, a very significant crash, especially if you add up the after trading hours development. So it was really significant. Another basically resets us back to the levels that we saw. I was actually very close because one of the signals that I gave you many videos ago was that in this week we could see the price go back to the levels similar to those of the 3rd of April, and we're basically just barely lower than this. So it was actually very close and very accurate in that regard. But yeah, I told you that we could see volatile days. That was the case for yesterday, and also range days. Okay, so range, I mean by range is when the closing position is nearly identical to the starting position. You can see that's the case for today, the 17th. Oh wait, no, it was not. It was a range day yesterday. Similar position, very similar. Actually kinda identical, and for today we got the collapse. So I got still the message clear. It's just that the days were inverted. So the 16th was the range day, today was the volatile crash, and tomorrow I think it's going to be another range day, because it's really hard to see 2 consecutive volatile days. I mean, it could happen because I told you that April was going to be very volatile, but at the same time, it will be kind of excessive to see that. So I'm expecting more of a chill day, and that's what I always tell people, okay? In yellow days, which always represent either volatility or range, I usually avoid doing any trading at all because I don't have clear signals as to what's about to happen, and because range days statistically are the worst days for trading, in the sense that most of the trading losses are actually happen on range days, and believe it or not. So yeah, that's basically all I have. The next week could open very volatile, and I could see a potential, the potential for a very good day, maybe even consecutive green days, for example on the 21, 22, and if they connect to the 23, maybe, or maybe the 22 and 23, possibly connecting even to the 24. So the next week, especially the first 3 days, I believe, could be some of the most optimistic days maybe for NVIDIA. At least we can see one day of this being a very strong uptrend. So I expect this level, whatever happens tomorrow, we can see maybe a recovery by the next week and going back to the levels that we saw, for example, at maybe what we saw at the 10th of April, something like that. So that will be the case possibly for the next 3 days. I mean, for the 3 days in the next week. Okay, so be prepared for that. That's for NVIDIA. Now let's take a look at the Forex prediction. So Forex being really volatile, but right now it's kind of slowing down in the pace of the price movement. And we can see it's kind of consolidating in a range. So, for example, I told you that the 16th of April was going to be a very volatile day. It wasn't. But another one thing that it happens when we don't get a very volatile day is a complete range, and it was a downtrending range. I'll show you right in a minute, because the chart, because of the nature of the volatility, makes it very annoying for me to zoom in and zoom out constantly. So the 17th of April could potentially be a green day. That was a signal, and the 18th is potentially another very volatile day. So let's take a look. Let's take a look exactly what happens on those days. So like I told you, the 16th of April was a downtrending range. You can see that the price starts right here and ends somewhere around here. So it's basically a percentage movement of around 0.50%. So this is more normal to Forex standards, but yeah, it was a downtrending range. And for the 17th of April, we also see kind of another range today. So the current position to the starting position barely just above 0.10%. So this is very small. And it seems that we didn't really see the very strong uptrend days that I was potentially foreseeing for the 16th or the 17th of April. So yeah, I got that one wrong. But yeah, the 16th, not a really volatile day, but a slow downtrending correction. It was also one of the possibilities right there. So for tomorrow, we can see maybe a more volatile day, and maybe that's more likely to happen for Forex, because so far, by just going by the behavior of this Forex pair and the US dollar against other currencies, it could potentially be more the renewal of more action tomorrow. So we can be maybe prepare for that. Don't go with too much leverage or you'll get liquidated. But by around the 20, we can see green days, and 21, 22, one of these days, maybe both, will be either range or volatility. So maybe a mix of both. Maybe one day will be very volatile and the other more in range, just like I showed you for NVIDIA. Forex, just like I told you, has the potential of seeing more volatility just by looking at the massive movements that we have been seeing basically since the start of this month, around the 2nd of April. So there's a possibility of seeing a little bit more action on the Swiss franc than with stocks. But yeah, anyways, that's basically all I have for you. I wish you a good day. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more trading signals, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.